Hey guys, Desolation Magic here, and Wizards dropped 60 more spoilers for Commander 2019 today. And better yet, some of them are even in English, and some of them even don't look like cave paintings from 10,000 BC taken on a camera phone from 1999. Yeah, I'm calling you out, salty Commander. Release a full-res version! It looks like you dunked the card in your damn toilet. So first up, we got Obnixilis Reignited, fantastic card in any Commander deck, and most people don't know this, but in the actual official MTG lore, he is next in line to be Governor of Puerto Rico. Es la verdad, I assure you. If you haven't heard, I am absolutely not kidding. Puerto Rico is on like their 4th governor in like 3 days. Están jugando papa caliente over there with the government positions. I think everybody knows what he does, but hey, +1, draw 1 card and you lose 1 life. -3, destroy target creature. And the -8, target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. By the way, it's not you, it's referring to the person the emblem is attached to. Which is how I would have phrased it, because you or they is, neither one of those is correct. So great to include. Next up, Overseer of the Damned, 5/5 for 7, flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature. So it's like Chupa blah blah, but way more expensive. Whenever a non-token creature, though, an opponent controls dies, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever they add a condition that slows down an effect, like, oh, now it's tapped. Well, why? It's because they thought it was too powerful, which means you should probably play the card. I commonly refer to them as pump the brakes mechanics. Next up, Gyre Reach Sanitarium. It's a legendary land. You can tap it for colorless, which is useless in 3-color Commander. And if you pay 2, you can tap it and each player draws a card, then discards a card. I hate this card. Nobody played it when it was legal in Shadows or Eldritch or whatever, and you shouldn't play it either. It's terrible. Next up, Chaos Warp, but can it turn delicious cookies into s'mores? That's what I want to know. Or can it turn Wizards of the Coast into a respectable company that's operated not by crazy people? Anyway, it's a 3-cost red instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of the library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Insanely unpredictable and stupid, unless you're targeting yourself and you're confident that your 1/1 is going to get improved. Or I'd say like your useless non-creature permanent, but I mean, if you got an enchantment or artifact out, there's probably a reason for it. This is great if you can place a card on top of your library, because damn. Still unreliable, hard to set up, unpredictable. I don't like it. Next up, Squee, Goblin Nabob. I can't believe they put this in here. It's not even worth that much. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee, Goblin Nabob from your graveyard to your hand. So this is the much older Squee, not the one that we saw recently and I think is actually still legal. Next up, we got Flayer of the Hatebound. That's some neat, creepy looking artwork. It's almost like a jack-o'-lantern, but like still cool looking and not fake. I gotta say, they pulled this one off. And actually, there are 2 artist credits on here, so that's cool. So this thing's insane. It's a 4/2 for 6, and it has Undying. So when it dies, you bring it back with a 1/1 counter on it, so it's then a 5/3. And then if it dies again, it actually dies. Unless you find a way to remove the counter, then it just does it again. So whenever Flayer of the Hatebound or another creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, which would be, goes to the graveyard, then comes back with the Undying ability, that creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. So it would enter, I think, as like a no-action, non-stack instant whatever, get the counter on it. It would be considered entering with the counter for the purpose of this ability, but it's considered to have a counter placed upon it for that triggering mechanism. Or I should say, for the purpose of triggering any mechanic that has to do with dropping counters onto things. So it would hit something for 5. Now, if you had an enchantment in play that says +1/+1 to all creatures or something, he would hit even harder. So, yeah. Next up, Bacon of Unrest, aka Caffeinated Bacon, and it's a 5-cost sorcery in black. Put target artifact or creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Shuffle Bacon of Unrest into its owner's library. I'm actually surprised that a black card does anything with artifacts. It's weird. Fun fact, no black card in the history of the game, or at least the history of Modern, that's the one I checked on, but I heard the history of the game can destroy an artifact. Directly, I should say. But I guess it can rebuild or assemble them after they're destroyed, which is weird because it's kind of Blue's thing, but whatever. So yeah, this is just like a typical resurrection card with a little bonus on it. Fantastic card. Oh, and for all y'all like Muslims who are triggered over my bacon joke, I don't like you throwing gay people off a building, so I guess we're even. Next up, Warstorm Surge. It's a 6-cost red enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Holy crap! That said, this does cost 6, so I mean, I wouldn't put this in necessarily like a typical mono red deck, like a goblin deck or something. But I mean, hey, if you can ramp into it, watch out. So obviously mix it with green in a true actual Gruul deck, not a Gruul in color deck, as the nickname would incorrectly imply, but an actual Gruul deck running actual Gruul cards from the actual Gruul guild. Apparently I have to say that because people still constantly misuse those nicknames. I am never going to stop telling people to stop using those stupid, incorrect, inaccurate nicknames like, I'm running a Bant deck, I'm running a Naya deck, I'm running a Sultai deck. First of all, no, you're not. There's probably not a single Sultai card actually in there. And secondly, you're saying it to look like an elitist, experienced, oh, I'm an expert MTG player douche in front of new players, okay? Nobody thinks you're cool. I'm never going to stop saying it. Stop bitching about it in the comment section and stop using those terms. But it's accepted by the community and everybody's okay with it but you. But it still is annoying to new players. So shut up and stop doing it. You know you're only saying it to show off to those people. You know this. Anyway, in an actual Gruul deck, you could ramp into this with the ramp in green and then just dump giant creatures on top of it. I mean, this would be amazing. So next up, Mire in Misery. It's a 2-cost sorcery in black. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or enchantment. I would just go with the version of this, I don't remember what it's called, where they just sacrifice a creature. It's Liliana's, I don't know, Triumph or something. I mean, why give them one more option unless you, like, know that they have no creatures in play and you want to destroy one of their enchantments instead? You're just giving them a bigger pool to choose from, and they're going to choose the one that they don't care about between all the creatures and all the enchantments they control. Plus, do you really want them just knocking an aura off a creature? So yeah, this isn't a very good card. Next up, Boneyard Parlay, another garbage bulk mythic that nobody played. Exile up to 5 target creature cards from graveyards. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put all the cards from the pile of your choice onto the battlefield under your control, and the rest into their owner's graveyards. Well, multiplayer, you can hit a damn lot of creatures, so just take the best of the best out of everything that died. The only problem is things had to have died, but for 7 mana, it's probably kind of late in the game. So yeah, you might get some mileage out of this. So it's a neat card. It's just, is it really that good for 7? I'd rather just obliterate like half their board and then swing at them with like Killing Wave or something. It's a little more direct, and if a card is truly powerful and hard to kill, then it's probably not in a graveyard. Next up, Doomed Necromancer. It's a 3-cost 2/2, and you can pay 1 black, tap it, and sacrifice it, and then return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Awfully roundabout when there's better ways to do that. That said, I mean, it is straight to the battlefield, but, you know, Whip of Erebos is a thing too. Although that is for 1 turn, but you can do it recurringly, so I don't know. It's about on par with this. I just think somebody's just going to shock him and, you know, he doesn't have haste, so kind of a weird, like, split turn way to do that. I don't know. I mean, depends what's in your graveyard, I suppose. Next up, Bone Miser. He's actually the accountant at Wizards of the Coast. I don't know if you knew that or not. He's a 4/4 for 5. He's a zombie wizard. Whenever you discard a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. I thought I saw Madness in one of these decks too, so you might actually be able to pull that off. Whenever you discard a land card, add 2 black, and then whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card. I remember either this exact card or this exact effect on a card a while ago, and it was pretty darn popular in Standard. It really works with Madness, but I don't know. I don't know how well it'll work in Commander. Next up, we've got a potential commander here, legendary creature, Greven, Predator Captain, so in other words, probably in charge of the new Judge program. Oh, I'm taking shots at everybody with this one. It's a 5/5 for 5 with Menace, and then he gets plus X attack, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Holy crap. And whenever he attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you draw cards equal to that creature's power, and you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. So those are 2 very distinct effects. One is going to give you massive card advantage, and the other one's going to give him massive attack. So you get 2 reasons to do it. I sure hope your other creatures aren't very important, because this guy's just going to absolutely wreck their face. If you were to give him Trample, or just make sure that with Menace he doesn't have 2 blockers to potentially get in his way, you could do all of the commander damage necessary to win a game in 1 turn. That is scary. I think some people are going to play him as a commander, for sure. And next, oh, here it is, the blurriest spoiler ever. Thanks a lot, salty commander. Nightmare Unmaking. I gotta squint to see this, but it looks like 5-cost black sorcery, choose 1, exile each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand, or exile each creature with power less than the number of cards in your hand. Oh, that's a fun one. I mean, let's be honest, it costs 5. You're gonna pick the first one. It hits your creatures too, and it's an exile effect, so you don't get the death effect. So, you'd really have to be careful with this and put it in the right deck, but yeah, you could do some damage with this. Next up, we got Hate Mirage, which is a common mental illness that a lot of people on Twitter have. So it's 4-cost red sorcery and choose up to 2 target creatures you don't control. For each of those creatures, create a token that is a copy of those creatures. Those tokens gain haste, exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Good thing they added that end part, or this is literally a blue card. So that's pretty nuts. I mean, they could just chump block with both of them because they're the same size, but whatever, it'd be kind of fun. You guys know I love a good clone spell. I'm all about that. So next up, we got a Phoenix. Those are always fun. 3/3 for 4 with flying and haste, of course. Whenever you cast your commander, return Skyfire Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, so that's kind of fair. I mean, it's still only 3 damage in the air for 4. It's not that great, and it's double red, so in a 3-color deck, good luck. But hey, I mean, it's doable, and maybe it's in the 2-color deck, the red-black one. No, not the Rakdos deck, the 2-color black-red deck. It doesn't have anything to do with Rakdos. None of the cards are from Rakdos. And believe it or not, the commander is not the Demon Rakdos. So what would that logically make it? Oh yes, not a Rakdos deck. Next up, Eon Engine. It's a 5-cost artifact with some dope-looking artwork, and it enters the battlefield tapped, but then the next turn you can tap it and exile it, reverse the game's turn order. Okay, 1, who cares? And 2, why would you want to do that? This is so stupidly, narrowly specific. It's just, I don't even know, like, when would it take effect? Would you get a turn after you, or would it include you, and then your turn's over, so then you go in reverse? I'm going to have to see a ruling on this. If you basically get a bonus turn out of it, and then you go to your left instead of your right, okay. Otherwise, this is just utterly pointless. It just unfairly skips somebody's turn and gives somebody else like an extra turn one time. Who cares? This will just like piss somebody off. It won't actually do anything. So next up, Idol of Oblivion. It's a 2-cost artifact. You can tap it, draw a card. That's nice. Activate this ability only if you created a token this turn. Oh, I knew there had to be a catch. And then if you pay 8 and sack it, and tap it, then sack it. Very important. Create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Oh, this is like that one plane where they thought the Eldrazi were gods and they made statues of them. This is a reference to that. That's pretty wild. So yeah, card draw mixed with token dump. Sure, why not? Next up, another legendary creature. It's a 3/2 for 4 Chainer Nightmare Adept. Human minion. Discard a card. You may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. That is insanely powerful, and then whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn. Why couldn't they just say, and it gains haste on the first ability? Let's be honest. That's the only time you're ever going to trigger that. I mean, yeah, like Rise from the Grave effects, but whatever. So pretty insane, but with 2 toughness, kind of weak to be a commander, but I mean, still, it's only 4. Next up, a 6-cost Aura Curse. Hello, that is a lot of mana to invest on an Aura. But it's Curse of Fool's Wisdom, and it says Enchant Player. Whenever Enchanted Player draws a card, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So kind of like an enhanced Ob Nixilis emblem. And then it has Madness 4. So you can just discard it, like basically because of another effect, and then you can cast it for its Madness cost, which is 2 lower. Pretty neat. I mean, it'll be annoying. It's kind of like Stab Wound, I guess, but I mean, 6 is a lot. Too bad they accidentally named it what it would be named if it was a blue card instead of like Necromantic whatever, or Vampires whatever, or literally anything other than that. Next up, Big Game Hunter. I think I played that game. 1/1 for 3. It's a human rebel assassin, just to cover all the subtypes. And whenever it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. It can't be regenerated. There's still a better card than this. I forgot what it's called, but it's a Royal Assassin. Look it up. It is just strictly better than this. This also has Madness 1. Who cares? You're never going to discard it. Doesn't matter. Play Royal Assassin instead. Anyway, next up, Grimoire of the Dead. Apparently it's very blurry. Thanks for that. 4-cost legendary artifact and mythic. Hello. And if you pay 1 and tap it, discard a card, put a study counter on Grimoire of the Dead. Oh, that'll trigger madness. And if you tap it and remove 3 study counters from the Grimoire of the Dead and sacrifice it, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, aka Rise of the Dark Realms. They're black zombies in addition to their other colors and types. So you cast it, and then 3 turns later you win the game. This is the first book Planeswalker. It's a bookwalker. This is literally a Planeswalker that is literally Liliana's ultimate. Like, I'm not kidding. She word for word has that ultimate on one of her cards, which is also a copy of the card Rise of the Dark Realms, which is a 9-cost, probably sorcery. So I think this is a little OP. I mean, not every color can actually destroy an artifact. Like red and green could do it, white could exile it, but if you're playing against mono black, you basically just beat them, so that's a little much. Whatever, you probably get them all out and they'll just wipe the board. Oh, resurrect these nuts, Bantu's Last Reckoning. Next up, a reprint of Hedonist Trove. It's a 7-cost enchantment that nobody played when it was legal and standard. Honestly, it probably still is. And when it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target opponent's graveyard. You may play land cards exiled with Hedonist Trove, and you may cast non-land cards exiled with Hedonist Trove. You can't cast more than one spell this way each turn. So you just pick an opponent, steal all the crap from the graveyard, and hit them with it again. The problem is, if it's really, really good stuff, that means they put it in the graveyard by probably using it on you, and you probably already lost the game. So, slight break in logic there. Also, it's 7, but it's pretty darn good. The problem is you got to split your mana from then on between your cards and their cards. So, Next up, we got allegedly Supreme Demon of Grudge. Oh, cool. That was a great movie. I don't remember seeing him in it, but I was kind of half paying attention. It has Voler, which is, of course, flying. It's a 6/6, which is not bad, and then whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to Supreme Demon of Grudge, that source's controller loses that much life unless that player sacrifices that many permanents. So, almost as good as Phyrexian Obliterator, but that option, I don't know about that. It's still good, it's just they are never going to choose anything other than lose life, and if they don't have enough life to lose, you already won, you've got a 6/6 flyer, just hit them. So as far as I'm concerned, that bottom part doesn't even exist. But yeah, this is still a crazy good card. Also, he has Madness 5. Next up, Wildfire Devils. It's a 4/2/4, and when it enters the battlefield at the beginning of your upkeep, choose a player at random. That player exiles an instant or sorcery card from the graveyard. Copy that card, and you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Unfortunately, it was their choice, so it'll be something horribly irrelevant. Then again, this is Commander we're talking about. I don't think there's a lot of extraneous instants and sorceries that do next to nothing. Next up, Intangible Virtue. Fantastic reprint here. It's a 2-cost enchantment, and creature tokens you control have +1/+1 in vigilance, aka the other Always Watching. This card is insane. There's a Selesnya style deck where it's like creature dump mass flood. I guarantee this is in it, and I still think that you're way too susceptible to board wipes, but if you just like swarms of things, what the hell. Next up, Phyrexian Rebirth, a card which I personally kicked out of my actual Commander deck because it's just too stupid. So you pay 6, it's a sorcery, destroy all creatures in play on the battlefield, doesn't matter who owns them, then create an XX colorless horror artifact creature token where X is the number of creatures destroyed this way. So you piss off everybody else in the game, they now have an axe to grind because you blew up everything. You bring out some crappy little 10/10, somebody kills it between like the 3 opponents in the game, and then they all target you. Just play Planar Cleansing. Play anything. Play literally anything other than this card. I mean, then again, it's like Board Wipe or Board Wipe Plus, but this creature does not stay in play. Somebody's going to blow it up, and they're going to be pissed at you. Next up, Rootborn Defenses. I remember when this used to be legal. It's a 3-cost instant, populate. Then creatures you control gain indestructible till end of turn. So to populate, you create a token that's a copy of another creature token you control. So kind of neat. I mean, it is instant speed. It's just overall a neat spell. I think I'd keep it in the token flood deck. Next up, Trostani's Judgment. Oh god, I love Trostani. 6-cost, ouch. Exile target creature, then populate. Ooh, there you go. That's a little high, though. Even for what it does, I feel like 6 is pretty darn high. I mean, this would be, like, totally amazing at, like, a pre-release, but I don't think you're going to get away with this in the average game of Commander. I don't know. I'd rather just do, like, Banishing Light for, like, half this mana, and then just, who cares about Populate? Next up, Wingmate Rock, another fun reprint. It's a 3/4 for 5 flying, and it has Raid. Whenever Wingmate Rock enters the battlefield, if you attacked with a creature this turn, create another 3/4 white bird creature token with flying. So basically, the same thing. And then whenever Wingmate Rock attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature. That makes it worthwhile. I'd say everybody who runs an all-flying Commander deck would obviously include this, but it's obviously already in your deck. Next up, an incredibly powerful card, Flame Rush Rider, but the phrasing. This could stand a rewrite. I'm surprised this passed Oracle text, standards. So whenever Flame Rush Rider attacks, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature, and that's tapped and attacking. Wait, is that a condition? Are you describing the one? We've got some reference confusion in that sentence. Oh, you meant to say, which is also tapped and attacking. Actually, that's still too vague. Let's just say there's a better way to phrase that. I don't know what it is, but there is. Then exile the token at the end of combat. Also, it has -4. Very annoying. You drop it in, swing once, and then bring it back to hand. Just kidding, it's a 3/3. It's going to die. But, I mean, it gains haste, and at least you didn't have to waste 5 on it, because it is going to die. Next up, Heartpiercer Manticore, a card which literally nobody played when it was legal. It's a 4/3 for 4, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, it deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. And then it has Embalm 6. Yeah, this is just an all-around bad idea. It's kind of like a recurring fling, but it's just bad. Next up, Colossal Majesty. I love this card. This is actually still legal, I think, in Standard. 3-cost enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Fun, fun, fun. I mean, I like Kiora better because then it's every time you drop in a creature with 4 or greater, I believe it is, you draw a card. But this is good too. Next up, Druid's Deliverance. It's a 2-cost green instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn, then populate. Oh, good. We needed a better fog. I love fog decks. They're super not toxic and annoying. Screw you, Wizards, for including this. Next up, Elemental Bond. We've got a 3-cost enchantment here, and whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Okay, now we're talking. This is basically just Super Kiora, except that players can't attack this because it's not a Planeswalker. This card is absurdly powerful. You'd be insane not to run this in basically any green commander deck. Next up, Fresh Meat. It's a 4-cost instant. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. This is an insanely good insurance policy if somebody wipes out your 12 tokens in your token flood deck. I assume that's what it's in. Next up, hey, Garruk's back again. Garruk's Pack Leader. Ooh, Garruk found himself a cute little puppy. Anyway, it's a 4/4 for 5, it's beast, and whenever another creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Wow, that sounds weirdly familiar. Okay, now they're just kind of getting overkill with it. That is too many recurring draw sources for a creature dump deck. You guys gotta calm it down a little bit. Next up, Giant Adiphage, or something like that. This is a mythic and it's not legendary, so it's a 7/7 for 7 with trample, it's an insect, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Adiphage. So whenever it deals damage, and it has trample. Holy crap, that is crazy. Next up, Harmonize, a 4-cost sorcery, and you just straight up draw 3 cards. So in other words, this is a blue spell. Strange card. Next up, Rampaging Balos. It's a 6/6 for 6 with trample, and it has landfall. Finally, I love landfall, one of my favorite mechanics of all time. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. Oh, yes. The problem is this is a 6/6 for 6, so you kind of want to put it into combat because it has trample, but you'd be afraid of losing it with like a triple block and ambush, just putting it into play at all almost. Oh, but then landfall. So like you wouldn't really want to swing with it, but you also would. And then if you do, you'll be kicking yourself if you lose it to like a seal away or something. So a bit of a paradox. I almost wish it was like a 4-cost enchantment instead, but whatever. That ain't what green does. Next up, Classic Slice and Twain. Destroy target artifact or enchantment and then draw a card. That really is what you want to do in Commander, and you probably have the mana. And next up, odd include as far as lore goes, but sure, Soul of Zendikar. If you look at the other green cards, I guess that's who he's teaming up with, but Commander, they never said the decks had to make sense. So, 6/6 for 6 with Reach, and you can pay 5 and create a 3/3 green beast creature token. And then pay 5 and exile Soul of Zendikar from your graveyard, then create a 3/3 green beast creature token. So even after they kill it, he's going to get you with one more. Pretty neat. I mean, there are better Soul Love cards. He's one of the weaker ones, but still, kind of neat. Next up, Amara Tandris, a legendary creature, impossible commander, although it does cost 7, which is insane. Elf Shaman, who the hell wants to play with elves? They suck. 5/7, prevent all damage that would be dealt to creature tokens you control. Holy crap. So obviously she's going in the Selesnya style flood deck. Next up, Naya Charm, a card that is actually a Naya card. You can tell because it says Naya in the name. Anyway, it's an instant, 3 color, no leeway, no generic, that's kind of rough, but deals 3 damage, you get to choose one by the way, deals 3 damage to target creature, or return target creature from a graveyard to its owner's hand, or tap all creatures target player controls. So, red ability, green ability, arguably black, and then a blue ability? I mean, it's not unheard of in white, but okay. So that last one could just absolutely win the game, and then honestly the second one isn't too bad either. Next up, Sundering Growth, 2-cost hybrid instant, love that, and destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then populate. So interesting, obviously. I still think getting 1 token in a token flood deck is stupid. Now, if you were to clone like a 5/5 golem, that's a different story. But unlike the other populate cards, this only costs 2, and that effect usually costs 2. So basically, why not play it, and then you got flexible colors on top of it. So fantastic card. Next up, V2 Ghazi Guild Mage. It's a 2/2 for 2, and it has 2 abilities, just like all the other Guild Mages. Although, I think this is an older reprint, or they're just like basing it on it. You know, because the real one is actually called Selesnya Guild Mage. Anyway, you can pay 6, create a 3/3 green centaur creature token. Not really worth 6 in my opinion. But then 4, populate. So recurring populate. Now we're talking. So, I mean, she is a self-contained army. She could pop one out and then just boom, populate every turn. And there's no tapping. I mean, literally a strong gust of wind will kill her because she's got 2 toughness. But, you know, hey, why not? She costs 2. If they're going to waste a kill spell on a 2 cost, go for it. Next up, Wayfaring Temple. That's right, that temples are getting up and moving now. So this is a 3-cost elemental, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control. Fantastic, I was waiting for more of that. Whenever Wayfaring Temple deals combat damage to a player, populate. So that is just plain good. Pretty cheap for that Mass Effect, too. No pun intended. And next up, the card that obviously somebody at Wizards named after me because they're such a big fan, Desolation Twin. You know, and there was an ongoing joke for at least a year on my channel that I secretly have a twin. I will neither confirm nor deny that. But yeah, we all know what this does. 10/10 for 10, and when you cast it, whether it gets countered or resolves, doesn't matter, you still get a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. And by the way, the token looks freaking amazing. So yeah, just all around fantastic, kind of vanilla card. I mean, it kind of resists getting countered, and then if it doesn't get countered, hey, 2 10/10s. I mean, that ain't no joke. And hey, it's colorless, so you finally have something to spend that ridiculous amount of useless, pointless, unusable colorless mana that they keep generating on like 50 cards from these decks. So there's a major plus, because you sure as hell won't be spending it on anything else in a 3-color deck. Yes, I know, one of the decks it pays for morph. Stop saying that. You can't unmorph it. Who cares? It's a 2/2. I don't think you want to leave it as a 2/2. You still need the colors. So next up, Soul Foundry. It's a 4-cost artifact. Looks pretty neat. And Imprint. Oh, I haven't seen that in a while. When Soul Foundry enters battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your hand. And then if you pay X and tap it, create a token that's a copy of the exiled card. X is the converted mana cost of that card. I would have said X has to be the converted mana cost of that card. Yeah, there are some artificially low CMC creatures where there's like a gimmick to it, like a secondary cast condition, and that's why they're so low. If you imprint them and then start popping out copies of it, oh, watch out. But, you know, good luck lining up a combo like that. So next up, we got Gargoyle Castle. It taps for borderline unplayable colorless mana. And then if you pay 5, you can tap it and sacrifice it, and then create a 3/4 colorless Gargoyle artifact creature token with flying. That's stupid. This is a really dumb card. Next up, Grey Pelt Refuge. It enters the battlefield tapped, and then when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and then it taps for 1 of 2 colors. So basically a life land, although I don't recall one being called Grey Pelt Refuge, so okay. Next up, Corrosive Verge. It enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for 1 colorless. Then if you pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice the card and search your library for a force card and a plains card. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Pretty good, honestly. At least you can get rid of it when you find that you can't make any use of that stupid colorless mana and half your deck generates it. Next up, Naya Panorama. Pretty famous old Naya card. It's literally a Naya card, not just nicknaming it that because of the colors. It is actually a Naya card. I know that that's purposely confusing to some people. So it drops in and taps for 1 colorless, which once again is borderline unusable depending upon what colors you're set on. And if you pay 1 and tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic mountain, forest, or plains card, and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. So, arguably more useful than Evolving Wilds. I don't know, more immediately useful if you really need a large amount of mana and already have fixed your colors. But, I mean, I just don't think people have a lot of basic mountain, forest, or plains in their deck in Commander. And remember, it says basic. So, no, you can't fetch like I don't remember what lands say it, but like those 2-color lands that say like mountain forest. No, this says basic. You have to go get a basic one. Next up, Rogue's Passage. Very underappreciated card from Origins. It's a land that comes in untapped, and then you can tap it for useless mana. And then if you pay 4 and tap it, target creature can't be blocked this turn. If that's your commander, you are going to hit them pretty damn hard. Potentially. I mean, honestly, no matter what you target with this is commander. You're going to hit them hard no matter what. Unfortunately, since this is yet another land that generates colorless, you're not going to actually get a creature out in the first place because you're going to be sitting there on 50% unusable mana. And then you're going to be saying, why? Why can't I just pull a red source? The entire rest of my hand is red and I only have one creature in play. What the hell? Where's my red? Well, you shouldn't have built your deck with like half colorless lands, which is why if you buy any of these decks, I would recommend editing them real quick. And besides a bunch of the lands that we already saw, but slightly different ones, so life lands, the trampoline lands or whatever, that's it. Oh good, now I get to go edit a 30-minute video and it's already midnight. Cool, awesome. Commander spoiler season is always such a pain in the ass. I really don't think I covered them last year. But I do like to explain, fun little card interactions and whether I think a card's good or bad or whatever. And of course, there's some combos I haven't thought of because I haven't memorized every single card. So everybody being rude in the comment section, shut the hell up. I'm sick of your arrogant, oh, didn't you know this bullshit comments, and I'm going to keep deleting them, so shut up. For the other 99% of you that aren't assholes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.